Does it work now? Oh, now I can sing, right? I am Moana. Thank you, Ethereum Zurich and the University of Zurich for having me. And thank you guys for staying here, for your interest in the topic. It's a mouthful. Like there's a lot of keywords that like, why does it matter when crypto is going up? So my speech is going to be a little bit about our organization. So a little bit my own story, involved in the organization since 2018. And then you probably can understand a little bit why we dived into this field of R&D to understand how decentralized the knowledge base can be made possible. And then why we need this very much to be applied to today's world to answer some of the questions and challenges we've had since 2018 as an organization. So a few of the keywords here is, I should probably put like cognitive sovereignty. When we as a community, when we construe our own truth, is there a way that it's not centralizedly owned, right? Like, is there a way nobody can say this is right or wrong, but we say it is, and then how it can be using the current technologies after maybe 10 years of development of blockchain made possible. That goes beyond financial applications. And then, of course, with information, that helps with education, that helps with coordination, and specifically with ECF, which I will introduce a little bit, our purpose of helping mass adoption of Ethereum and blockchain. It is important to give people the tools to understand crypto projects to begin with. Right now, we are limited to looking at coin market cap or what the president tweets, or following their Twitter, which is owned by the projects and tweeting what they want. So is there other ways that we could learn about projects and what are the frameworks to look at them? And without these tools, crypto is really the Wild West, right? Like if you're not armed with, I wouldn't say weapons, but at least you know you can protect yourself. That is very important and is, I would even say, a missing role in the entire crypto space when we are saying, well, come in here, you'll change your life, you'll change your world and society when people do not know how to defend themselves with knowledge. So it's a lot of missions combined in what we think is one thing, but in itself it's quite complicated. So in today's presentation, with the time I still have, 17 minutes, what we're going to do is I'm going to tell a little bit about my organization, Ethereum Community Fund. It's a tale from 2017. And the second thing is the major topic of today, which is the Pensieve mechanism, which allows decentralized social consensus to be available, which you could look at as a knowledge base in the end that is owned by the community. And the third part would be our answer to the questions of the challenge of the crypto space. Where do we find good projects? With our experiences since, like that's 7 years from now. So a tale from 2017. ECF is Ethereum Community Fund, and this is the mission since the very beginning. We're mission to be flexible, nimble, and adaptive to the needs of the decentralization communities. So it was conceptualized in DevCon 3 in Cancun, and it was officially founded in 2018 in Tokyo by very early Ethereum contributors and ecosystems. And it is a community-founded non-profit organization that responded to communities' needs by being probably the first grant program ever in the Ethereum ecosystem. And this was the founding picture, just to show face a little bit as well. This is our grant history, so you could look at a lot of the very active projects that are still helping public goods, helping our community to live up to our values and everything, are some of our early grantees when we came around. And it did inspire a lot of ecosystems to have their own grant programs to start to, really give people who are curious, who are interested, that little push that they need to, get off the fence and then start to do something. And we're very proud of the work that we did, and we're very proud of the fact that it was almost a very decentralized way of coming together to support our aligned goal at the time. And then what happened after that, right? Like, as a grant program that is, that was founded by multiple projects in the ecosystem, you can imagine the coordination problems. For those of us who have worked with any other project, you understand everyone has their own milestones, they have their own concerns, their own community. There's aligned goals, but we don't necessarily have the same KPIs for this quarter. So there are many issues to resolve. But we put that reality aside and just look at, as a grant program, on the surface, what are the problems you need to solve? One is, where is money? We were lucky because it was 2018, so it was after the ICO big explosion, and the projects that are willing to take money out, some of them went through their token sales. Some of them just were long enough, such as MakerDAO, had enough funding because of the growth of Ethereum, being with the project long enough in Ethereum ecosystem. And so we were lucky there. But if you look at the rest of the problems, we are our projects. In today's world, you feel like, no, if you come to an event like this, there are so many projects, it's not so difficult to find them. That time wasn't so easy. And then, are they really projects? Like, are they really doing work? That's later problem. Then, are they good? Good is one of the first principles that is the most difficult to define. So what is good in your opinion, right? And if we leave that aside, let's say first let's get some information about the project. How do we know the information is real? So we talk to the person, talk to the founders, and they may give you some information about their track record. It's unvalidated, and then you have to observe them and complicate it. And can we trust them? And after we give them grants, how do we hold them accountable? Okay, so this is like generally any grant program would have these issues, unless you just position it as a marketing institution. We need more people to know about our project. We are giving out funds so that people know, right? Like any acquisition of users back in the days would be $20 anyway. So we might as well get more developers, and they might get more users if they do what they claim that they would be doing. And underneath the surface, you also have these issues, which is, now that money is in, and we have, at the time, 6 projects, how do we govern money? And especially at the time, it was supposed to be in some news, $90 million to be put in ECF. And as a grant program, how do we stand out? Why is it that it's just one of the places people can shop at? Is it because you give money faster, or is it because your brand means something when I get this grant, right? Like, and why do I get Ethereum grant? In today's world, it means many other blockchains that are competing for your attention and probably can throw a bit more for it to be more rational and economic decision. How to coordinate, how to justify our decisions to the community when we are a community fund, when the funds that come in together are actually from the community and pushed up by community and by users. And in the end, how do we hold ourselves accountable? So all these questions that we need to ask. And we realize we have been building a lot of tools even today. When I look at DAO tools, I feel like they're still far away from what I really need in order to prove any organization's legitimacy and accountability, but they are going more towards that direction. At that time, even more so. But we're still trying to put the attention at the how, right? If you have DAO, you could have a new network state. But why do we need to do one? And what kind of network? These we leave later. Technology is there. Let's hold this hammer and try to find the nail. And then ECF was supposed to interpret what is good, right? Like, we represent the industry and say, no, right now you need UX improvement. Right now you need scalability. Right now you need this and you need that. Of course, Vitalik writes a lot of articles to direct the community as well. But yeah, this is the direction. But what makes you a good project? What makes you a project that is worth giving funds to? And in the end, we landed at, we need to first do, to understand that we can believe in the same truth and same reality. And only after that, we could discuss, based on the same facts as we know it, what is good. And then with that, we could decide what kind of tools fulfill our goals and then use them to distribute, let's say, resources. attention, people, labor, fund. But usually what we see is it's much faster to put, not so fast, right? We're still at a lot of problems, scalability, privacy, and all that. But it's much faster at hand to look at your computer and put codes in than having this social technology there. Once you have that, it's very, very powerful because, in my opinion, the power of blockchain is exactly at the social technology, that you can put people that do not know each other to trust this protocol and then start to send funds around, trusting that the blockchain will capture your transaction. What you cannot trust is at the end of the other end, whether this person is worth holding the money that you're transferring. And this is a problem that has not been solved at all. Of course, recently we have seen more, let's say, reputation projects, or track records from in age-long history of humanity. You have people doing audits and due diligence. These are not necessarily open sourced. When most crypto projects are considered international public projects, publicly traded projects, and they're not necessarily up to the standard of this level of access of information to the people that are in the community. So we're not going there today. Long story short, we realized we first need to solve the problem of trust and verifiability by providing a vehicle to allow people to put facts and knowledge together. So if you look at, in the end, the third chapter that I'm going to touch upon a little bit would be our solution, our proposal. With this Pensieve mechanism, we could put a knowledge base together, with ECF's mission being looking at who are good projects to continue to gather resources for a community to gather resources to give to them. You need two things: a decentralized knowledge base, and then a wisdom knowledge sharing, an open sourcing of how to understand a project. Today's focus is on Pensieve, a knowledge base, and the evaluation framework that we want to give out is based on all these years' research and our own doing to understand how you can gain trust and legitimacy much better. So it's not just an auditing project once it's launched, or we're hoping this quarter we will finally have our alpha, but also a way to direct new projects to say, well, maybe do not just give a copy of the private key to your mom, right? And that probably is more trustworthy to your community people. Or maybe put in a multi-sig, but not you holding 5 keys. And then all of these things that sound idiotic today to many of us who have been around are not so idiotic to people who are new, that are just reading their website information, looking at the founder's CV that we cannot validate. And then like, maybe this is a good project and I should put my money in this project. Anyway, and the third part of our entire structure of pushing mass adoption with ECF's mission would be room of requirements, which is to answer the question of how. In a sense that once we know what is true, once we know as a community what we agree as good, then how do we do these things? And we believe with the movement of Zula law that was validated since 2000, was being validated still with all the movement of all the pop-ups in the big zoo communities, we realize in the context of collective decision-making, whether or not you're a private person, whether or not you believe in peer-to-peer, you want to be able to trust your community, right? And then that gives much bigger push for you to start to use decentralized technology, because your community needs trust from you, and you want to trust them as well. So let's make that process faster. And any decentralization tools through the software that we're trying to coordinate to put together as toolkit would have a much better sell when it's given to new innovative communities. And that's our answer to the room of requirements. Sorry for the Harry Potter names. I cried and wrote on the floor for our team to pass this, but all the code names are Harry Potter. And today's Pensieve is, so the embodiment, right? Like Zulu City was launched already. It is, when you start a community, you own entirely the data. We don't want to know what kind of things you are doing if you choose it to be private. And we are working with developers all over the world, decentralized applications, to make it a way for your software to reach the communities that need them. So you can look at it as a dApp store or community OS. ECF, sorry for getting so long to get to today's topic. is trying to solve the problem of sovereign knowledge. How do we not get intervened when we just like to believe this and it's our truth as a community? And this is kind of the slogan here, the font changed, which is, we don't think legitimacy grow in a black box. And we don't punish those who do not or have reasons not to disclose. But only through these things, a decentralized community-owned platform, will you be faster or more efficient at gaining your legitimacy and then expand your community and get discovered in today's world. So to start with true, good, and how, these are our solutions. So what exactly do we do? It's a paper of 8,000 words. So today I can only scratch the surface of a simple procedure. And I would love for us to have some time to have a question and answer so that we could, I could go into some details that you guys are interested in because we have a relatively small crowd, but I don't think I have all the time. So feel free to reach out or check out things in the link. White paper is out last year. The problem's obvious. When you check out any project, it's missing data. You don't have all the data, right? Like they choose what they want to give to you. The data ownership is with somewhere. If it's an index, then they own it, and then you don't know how they decide that your exchange has that volume. There's information disparity. There's always the insiders who know someone in the project knows that the token is going to be pumped tomorrow. And there's also always the you that thinks that you know an insider that knows an insider, and then someone who knows you. And then there's broken links. Even if you have some data, you do not get to the prime source of how this data are around. When you go into a community today, you know a lot of decisions already made, if it's not day one of the project, but there is no narrative, continuity of narrative. You don't know what dinner they had, lead them to have that discussion, that lead them to have that project as a POC and got that bounty because of what, you don't know. You're at the receiving end. I'm not saying it's always the case, but if by that you are at that end and you could have all of these stories already there for you to read if you're interested, then it's probably easier for you to trust this project and community you're joining. And there is scarcity of legitimacy and scarcity of social technology that can help a project gain legitimacy. So if you have, I don't know, $100,000, whether or not to pump your token and make yourself more visible, is a big question because you could put that in development, but then there's no place that will sing songs for you and say, this is actually a legitimate project, they're doing very good. Because you're not, what I'm trying to say is the incentive mechanism of doing good requires a lot of your own decision of understanding that you will not be so visible very soon. And we lack such a place to, let's say, promote accountable and legitimate projects. Simply put, the procedure of getting a knowledge base that is, let's say, in the context of finding great crypto projects like this, anybody, so it does not matter whether Vitalik likes it or not, can propose any project with a set of basic items. You believe in it, and there is some basic checks of whether info just to anti-spam, some verification, and this project is published, right? You could say you're a co-founder of Ethereum and then publish that project. And we have no way of saying that's a no. By the way, aren't we curious who are co-founders of Ethereum as a community of Ethereum as well? But it would be very fun to use this mechanism to figure out who believe in what, right? Like, and just as a market research. And what is knowledge and what is truth anyway? If it's usually majority-based, we'd like to hear minority opinion as well, if they're immutable. And you got a project page published, and you gain reputational contribution points. And this is the only way for you to gain your weight and then have your belief of the reality more voted. So very simple. I have to end. I still have 35 seconds, and then long story short, it's a bounty program. It's an info finance program. You contribute to the content, you get the weight, and you are believed to be more knowledgeable about the entire ecosystem. You have a bigger weight. And then the specific mechanism inside would be more complicated. One of the things I want to emphasize, if Domenico is going to give me a little bit more because we started 2 minutes late as well, would be, it will be a constant governance over the content, which is counterintuitive. There's no time anybody can say, that's it, that's the truth. because knowledge evolves. We thought Earth was flat. And we want to see how the knowledge evolves as well. And this is the only way for us to really reflect the state of mind at a time. And at what point can we say the entire population engaged with this knowledge base, and then we say there's enough backing with this truth now, right? There's no way we can do that, but we want to know what is the belief now. So it's a constant governance that is actually quite interesting if you think about. A few highlights at the end before the next speech is that this is an incentivized knowledge platform. As long as you contribute content, you gain more weight. But at the same time, the funny thing that I want to highlight, which I won't have time to do more, is that it's also a gauge of importance of the item. If people don't agree with you, they will come in and say, I have more weight and I change this content. They can do it. And the threshold, this item would also gain more weight as a threshold. So the more people engage with this item, the more it is difficult to get the content changed and updated. And it also reflects what is the most confidential piece of information, what is the most valuable information in the space as well. And this creates the same kind of dynamics for other items, for other projects, and people understand this is a key item I need to look at. If there's no debate over what's the project name of Ethereum, then that's probably not so important. But there's probably debate on where is the smart contract or the ERC20 token of certain project, and that's sensitive for security. And these are things in 2040 items that we have identified to understand a crypto project. That is universal. We're not even going to the verticals of if you're DeFi, if you're NFT, if you're not there yet. Just to understand whether you are accountable, you need to know so much. And this is referencing international accountability as a framework for understanding accountability of international organizations. And apparently this is a problem, this is an ailment also existing outside of the crypto world. And I've talked to many professors that are on this topic, and these 4 views are the things that we need to evaluate. Whether the project is transparent, whether there's enough participation from all stakeholders, whether there's ways to evaluate the impacts, whether there are the complaints or there is redress. And they say if there is transparency, that's already a huge step for organizations existing in the world. And I think we are starting there. I wish that we had more time to go into details, but if you are interested, you could check out, and there's no time for poetry, these links. So if you're a software, you're a builder, you're a community builder or software developer, I encourage you to check out Zelda City. And if you're interested in humanity's cognitive sovereignty and how to invest in better projects, I encourage you to check out the Pensieve mechanisms white paper. As far as I know, many projects are asking when we can be launched so that they can prove themselves to be high in the rank without having to have that kind of marketing budget. This altogether is ECF's goal, which is to help you really distribute your software and to help you prove that you are good projects and get resources easier. This, I think, is a better cause than just giving you money directly, even if it's free. Thank you so much.